Welcome back, guys, to another episode of KnightChat, First on Air, your go-to podcast for everything FIRST Robotics related and more. I'm your host, Chandra, and today's topic is Impact. The FIRST Impact Award is the most prestigious award in FIRST Robotics, awarded to the team that embodies the mission of FIRST outside of just building robots. This season, we won the Impact Award at the University of Vermont District Qualifier, and just this past weekend, we won the award at the New England District Championship. This was a huge achievement, and I could not be any more excited for our presenters to present at Worlds. Of course, this would not be possible without the help of our two guests for today's episode, our business mentors, Paul Coppola and Gina Vaccarelli. Why don't you guys introduce yourselves?
Hi, I'm Gina, and I'm one of the business mentors. I've been here for about 4 years.
Hi, everybody. I'm Paul Coppola, and I've been with Team 195 now for just a little over 4 years as well. Excited to be here working with the team for both business as well as Impact.
All right, let's get started. What is your definition of the Impact Award?
The definition that I like to think about is just at its core, all the community service and how our students give back to their community that has given so much to them. And then putting it all together to show other people everything that they've done.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Gina. And I would just add on to that. When I think of impact, it's why it matters and how you made it happen. And when I think about a team, any team, it's a chance for them to spread the FIRST mission. It's about making connections in their local communities. It's also about the work that they do to spread the important work around FIRST. And how do we continue to increase the STEM pipeline? That all comes together in such a nice way with the Impact Award because it really recognizes teams for some amazing achievements. Even if a team isn't competing for the award itself, it's about the difference you can make. So when I think about impact, it really is about the total picture. It's about how a team comes together to be able to reach others as well as be able to do the work that's important for FIRST.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I'm going to take that total picture idea and I'm going to warp it into something else. One of my favorite interpretations of the Impact Award is from an old mentor who's in Florida now. Basically, he described it as marketing your product to a team. In this case, you're marketing your own robotics team to the judges at the competition, where you're showing what stands out about your team other than you guys built a really cool robot. And you're marketing all these aspects through your impact essay, your executive summaries, your presentation. And I just think that's my favorite way of showing it.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. And I think when we think about it from that perspective too, you're also marketing to other teams and you're getting that message out. So I love that because it's kind of about the total picture. It's about your value and your value proposition. So that's great.
All right. So we're going to start from the very, very beginning of Impact, which at its core, it starts with outreach initiatives. Here on Team 195, we do a lot. However, taking all those initiatives and actually warping it into a story is a little difficult. So how do you organize all your initiatives into one solid story to tell?
Yeah, it's an important question. A lot of it starts with FIRST. We really look at what are the core values, first of all, and how do we align to that? And we also look at kind of what's the mission of FIRST and making sure we're making those connections. And then at a team level, we've spent a lot of time, and the team has really been phenomenal about this, thinking about what's our why? Like, why do we exist? To your point, Chandra, of what you said before, the robotics component of it is so critical to us. But it's not only what we do on the field, it's what we do off the field. And so we start to really think about what's the difference we can make? How can we benefit others? As a team, we've been very fortunate to have the resources we do, our practice field that we have available to us, the facility, the mentor support. We want to be able to share that with others. And that's really, as a team, what we've been able to do. So we take that why we exist and how we can benefit others, and then we start to take that backwards into a strategy. And so we've been able to do that over the past 3 years to set a very intentional strategy of what's important. And then as we think about that, for example, student development is a really key part of our strategy. How do we help not only to learn in the moment, but really apply experiential learning? And so as we grow as a team, we think about all the initiatives that help us to align to those pillars that we set.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, that the base of our impact presentations and our summaries and our essays is definitely our initiatives that we do work hard, like Paul said, with our strategy to maintain importance to each of them. Of course, any community service is important in many different ways, but using our energy strategically to make sure that we reach our community in the ways that we want to is very important to us, and also in organizing ourselves for the Impact Award.
Yeah, what I really appreciate what you just said to Gina is it's not about just how busy we are. It's actually about how it makes a difference in our community. And that's really a key thing for us. We think about it's really quality of our initiatives. It's quality of the work that we do.
It's that sustainability.
You got it. Exactly.
Yeah, and with that organization of activities here at 195, you should see the business team at the beginning of the season. Our whiteboard and what Paul makes us go through to like figure out our storyline and figure out like what is Team 195 doing this year? Like what is making us special? We map it out all on the board, like the entire business team. Sometimes additional mentors too. We're all just like sitting here in the business room, looking at the whiteboard. We're throwing ideas out there. Any idea is good. And Paul's writing them all down. And I have a picture of it. It's a very complicating board, and it doesn't make a lot of sense when you look at it at first, but it's not supposed to make sense at first because throughout the season, you're going to be like, you're developing that idea throughout the season. And as you're writing that impact essay in those executive summaries.
Yeah, it's also a really important reflection for the team to think about what you've accomplished. It's all too often you do something and you just go on to the next thing. Mm-hmm. But when do we celebrate? Like we actually did something really good. And part of doing that whole exercise is to recognize what did we say we were going to do, and did we actually meet the promise we said? And it comes together really nicely through that. The team does a lot of hard work to make that happen. It's kind of like the magic happens in the room.
Yeah.
But what's really cool to see it is once you start seeing all those connections, you realize like actually it's very purposeful work.
Yeah, I think those reflections on the whiteboard are very important for us and really help us to organize everything that we're doing. And we end up taking a picture of it because whiteboards don't last forever, but we reference it a lot. Just that initial brain dump, we like to call it around here, to try and figure out what is the most important to us in that moment. And yes, like you said, Paul, to see if everything that we set out to do was accomplished and if we need to tweak our methodology and how we do things in order to be more successful for ourselves and for our community.
Yeah, and as we've been doing that and we've been growing, especially over the last 3 years, we've been able to see a lot of movement and things that we didn't expect to maybe move at the rate they were, or we needed to think about them a little bit more, or maybe even evolve it. And we think about that when we do our FLL initiatives and the way we're connecting with our younger students, and we start to create a pipeline and how we're actually very intentionally trying to bring them into FTC and eventually how we've expanded in FRC and with our presence of our off-season event. All of that was really part of the plan. And so when we're working through and we're looking at it, you start to see this thread. Sometimes it's the purple thread of Team 195 that we see. But what happens is there's these recurring themes. What's also important about it is it's really about measurement, because we've talked a lot about it as a team. I ask this question a lot myself, and I know people ask this of me, like, why did it matter? Like, how did it impact somebody else? And we want to be able to tell that story too, because it's not just about the initiative, it's really about what it did.
I totally agree. And I just realized this. I mentioned it earlier that it was our business team looking at that super cool whiteboard. But obviously, with the big team like this, not everybody can work on the essay, but everyone still has a part in our impact. At the beginning of the year, at our kickoff event, we had all of our team members, all of our team members, parents, the government officials that were also there, mentors, literally, alumni too, literally every single person in that room that was there for the kickoff event. We had everybody break off into groups and write on posters, and we had everybody answer the question, what makes Team 195 special? Because sometimes the mechanical kids may see stuff different from the business team, or adults and alumni and government officials may see Team 195 different than we do. So getting all those different perspectives in on your impact really helps you think, like, what am I missing? And it's also helping you get everyone involved.
Yeah, what's interesting, Chandra, about that is I always kind of think of it like a ranking point. Like when we had everybody together for that day, we were really kind of seeing, what do people think about us? Like, what, without more than that simple question, we wanted people to provide their thoughts. And what was really interesting was we touched people in ways that we didn't even realize. It was through the way we've worked, our mentor pipeline of people that actually have been part of our team and then came back as mentors later. We had people that have seen us in the community. Like they referenced some of the events we did, like our Apple Harvest Festival. People remembered those things. And we've even heard that when we've worked with some of our elder population and asking for us to come back. And those were the memories. And that's how you know it made a difference to someone, because it was a feeling that people had. And some way they connected with the team, regardless if they've been maybe a little bit more distance from the team over the last few years, or they've been in a local community event that we've been at, or they come and watch our competitions. It's really cool to see that happen. And we did start to see that spark go off. And then when I think about it like a ranking point, I think about it something like that magically happens during the event. Well, that's kind of how people perceive us all year long.
Mm-hmm. All right. Moving on to the next step of impact, which is the essays and the executive summaries, the most fun part, all the writing. So I just want to talk through, for other teams especially, how do we go about writing this essay? How do we go about writing these executive summaries? To start off, I'll explain, because this year I worked a lot more on the executive summaries. And what we typically do is we copy and paste those questions straight from the website itself for impact. And we take those, we put them in a document, and we have like one of those organizers. So question on one side and answer boxes on the other side. So we could just go through and answer each of them. And what we do is brainstorm for each question first. So the questions asking about how do you impact your community specifically. I don't remember the question specifically, but how do you impact your community? And then right there and then we just write down our initiatives, or write down like stuff that we do. Or if it's talking about how do you support your alumni community, we write it all down. What percentage is this, like that. Just write down those in bullets, one word sentences. And then we dive deep into actually forming them into full answers. And obviously you have to watch for that character count. But I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think that the theme that we've been talking about a lot is that we seem to start really, really big with our thought processes, like even the whiteboard, and we have our brain dump of ideas. And even with the executive summaries, like you're saying, Chandra, we do start big and we just think of everything that we can in order to fit that question or the prompt that's being given. And then we work on cutting it down, making it more concise, and making sure that we're hitting all the key points that they're trying to get out of us, and making sure that we get our point across, all within that limited character count, which really can make a difference sometimes.
The only thing I would add, that part of it does come back to the work that we do at each season as we go through and we look at our strategy and we reflect on it too. And that does help to organize and do what you both described. It helps us to make sure that we're really, one, did we do everything we set out to do? And as we're starting to summarize it in a very simple way, how did it connect in? So we are able to show that as part of the process. So we do rely very heavily on what we've been set out to do, what did we accomplish, and again, why did it matter? And that really becomes very much part of how we create those responses to it. And it's really a lot. It's actually a nice way to look back. But what we do find is each year we've been able to progress things. And so that really also comes through as we start that planning process.
Right. And with the impact essay specifically, how would you go about writing it from scratch? Because normally what we use is a general template, but a couple years ago we actually had to write it from scratch. So, Gina, I know you were there for that. Do you want to talk a little bit about it?
Yeah, a couple years ago, we submitted an essay and we weren't as successful with it. So we decided that we needed to give it a reboot and start over. So it's really just looking back at that story like we were talking about earlier and using that as a guideline, I guess, to really share the story that we wanted to. What we like to do is try and group things together, more like connect in reality. And that was kind of our theme this year. But that is also the important part, like we mentioned before, about the initiatives and how important they are to ourselves and each other. Connecting is really important, and that's what we try to do in this essay format, and making sure that they relate to each other and it gets the point across on why we're doing them, just like Paul was saying with the big why.
Yeah. And one thing that I liked that you all did was you took the markers, you went up to the board, and then you're taking yourselves and you're starting to make these little message triangles. Like, what was it? Why did it matter? How did we do it? And then you're really bringing that together into little stories that you're telling throughout. And that's what you said, Gina. It's about this connectivity. And I use the word connect a lot this year, apparently, as we think about the importance of it. But what it does do is we're starting to think about all those themes and then what was really most important. What's the story that we need people to leave with? And Chandra, you said this earlier as part of your impact definition. It's about marketing of the team. Like, what do we want to take forward and what do we want to tell people? It's hard to tell everything that you do, but what are those things that matter? What are those things that people have seen us do or perhaps didn't even know that we did? And one thing I just want to say is this is not just a business initiative. This actually really is the entire team coming together, because we would not be successful if we didn't work together. This is no one person. It's not about a rock star. It's about a rock band. And that's really what we see when we see T195 show up in this case, especially when it comes to the essay. It's about how the team contributes. It's the hours people put in. It's everybody really brainstorming with us. We do a lot of work throughout the season, even thinking about our purpose and how do we pull together the work that we do, even like with commitments. The team really comes together to help to contribute to that, which is actually the really kind of cool part of this process, that it isn't just a limited group of people. Even though there's a few people that have to really take the pen to write it, the team helps to contribute on the impact.
So, next step in the impact process, the step we all love, the actual presentation itself for the judges. I'm going to restart that. Next step in the impact process is the impact presentation in front of judges. So let's talk about script development, presentation development, and then actually what goes into the practice for presenting.
Yeah, our presentation is based off the essay and the executive summaries, which we just talked about, and those take a lot of work. And like we mentioned, they go through many iterations and they get seen by a lot of, they have a lot of peer reviews around the shop. We ask a lot of people.
Basically pass it around the shop, really.
Yeah, we pass it around to make sure, we get the opinions of a lot of people, which is really important to us because we want to make sure that we're giving out the message that we're intending. And that's a good basis for us to start our presentation message as well, because we've already thought so hard about the first two things. So it's really a great guideline to begin with, and we try to use it as a way to formulate the shorter script for the presentation since it's only 7 minutes long, which a full essay simply cannot fit into.
No, it was actually, it was really rough taking stuff from, because when I was writing the script, like at least the draft for it, most of my wording came from the essay because I was like, it's so well worded here. Why not just take it from there? But it was a lot of content to move and smoosh into 7 minutes for the presenters.
Yeah, and I would just take it one step further too. The presentation is really a time to share things that people wouldn't necessarily always see. And it really is about helping to bring the story to life. It's a great way to create a connection. It's a great way to learn. So we like to share a lot of what's most important to walk away with. What are those things that we've been able to progress that may not always come through in the written word? So it is part of that experience. And then it's how do we take that story forward? So it actually is when we think about all the parts of the process, getting the message out is coming together in many different ways, visually, through the presentation itself, through the story, and even creating the storyline. And yes, we have the great basis of the essay, the executive summaries, but then you're also kind of going, what's the story at the end of it that you need to have? What is the feeling that comes up when you think about the work our team has done? And then it's pulling that story together. And as you're telling it, what would you tell a friend when you saw them on the street? Or what would you tell somebody that you bumped into if you were at school? Those are the kind of things that we're really looking to pull out too, because those are the things that come from the heart. And that's really what the presentation represents for the team.
Right. And not only is there the verbal aspect of the presentation, like Chandra was saying, that we were kind of basing off of the essay itself, but it's also the visuals, like Paul mentioned, that we kind of work on at the same time. We usually start with the words and kind of get a basis for that down, and then we start working on the slideshow that we create.
But they kind of work hand in hand, and we kind of just edit both of them at the same time, really, for like flow purposes.
Right, yeah. Usually we get to a stopping point with the words, and we quite can't get it right, and it's not done yet, so that's when we try to add in the visuals to aid that and see where it can take us with our communication through words. And, adding pictures adds a lot of context to what we're saying, so maybe it won't need as many words as what we're already giving it.
Yeah, and it does become a build, and you can start to see what helps to bring it together, whether it's a visual, whether it's something that's important that you have to make sure comes out. And you have to start talking about it. You have to start sharing the presentation. You have to start saying it. And so we found that the presentation's not done until it's done. And what I mean by that is you go through many iterations, but you really start practicing having the conversation, sharing what you're learning, and getting reaction on that. Does it make sense? Did we really tell the story? What are those 2 to 3 points we want somebody to remember us by? And all of those things really come through as we start working that process. So the presentation really isn't done until it's done, because we are spending a lot of time thinking it through, talking about it, saying it, and then adapting it to make sure that it really does tell the right story.
It's never done. I can guarantee you it's probably not done right now. We're still going to change it no matter what. Something's going to get edited every time.
And we evolve. Things just keep progressing because we're in the middle of FRC season. We're still doing outreach events. We're still interactive. So there's a lot going on, even at the busiest time of the team. And we want to make sure that we continue to be able to show that how things have continued. So it's really important that we do. And so we do want to always look back and say, have things updated, have things progressed.
Yeah. And for the visual aspect we mentioned earlier, if it wasn't clear enough already, for our impact, we usually do a slideshow presentation on Canva. But of course, you can use anything else, PowerPoint, regular Google Slides. However, some teams also I've seen use boards, trifolds. Some teams bring a lot of their outreach initiatives with them into the judging room, like at DCMP, I saw a team with a cart and they had like a bunch of different stuff regarding their initiatives on the cart. Some of their presenters dress up, and I'm assuming the story they're telling during their presentation is a really compelling and interesting one. So there are so many different visual aspects to Impact that you can do, but what my suggestion is sticking to your brand that tells what your team is trying to say. Like with us, we stuck with the slideshow so we can show progression through our initiatives. Some teams might stick with a board because they can show all of their impact in one board, and it's just all right there. It's easy to read, but it depends on your impact, of course.
Yeah, and one tip that I would give is never create the visuals before you know what the story is going to be.
Definitely not.
It's really about thinking about what's most important to relay, and then does the best job to show that. And like you said, Chandra, I love how you brought that all together. It's really the right format that will help with the storytelling. And sometimes actually showing somebody an object is amazing
because it's interactive.
Exactly.
You're keeping it interesting. Even though it's 7 minutes, a lot of people can lose retention in 7 minutes, because I know I do when I'm in class. So
I don't believe that.
So keeping it interactive, showing them items, making hand gestures occasionally, referencing your board or whatever visual you have displayed, keeping them engaged. Like that's the actual presentation aspect of presenting Impact. Yeah, you got the content, but you got to serve it well.
Right. And that's telling as much of the story as what you're not saying, because we know that we learn differently. And so visuals, colors, different things that you'll see when you're looking at it, it's touching an object. That is part of the learning process. And so everybody learns differently. So we want to make sure that we can adapt the presentation to meet those needs.
All right. It's my favorite time of the episode, and you guys both know what time it is. It's the Cyber Side Chat. Are we excited?
Oh.
Ooh.
Today, I decided we're going to mix it up a little. So I actually have 2 different Cyber Side Chat questions, one for you, Gina, and one for you, Paul. We're going to start with Gina first. So, audience, when we prepare for Impact, there is always the 7-minute presentation, and there are the 5 minutes of questions from the judges. When we're presenting and practicing, Paul and Gina and our other mentors, they always sit down, they watch the presentation, and after, they ask their own questions. And sometimes they're normal, like, what Impact initiative would you like to see next? Some of them are a little odd. Gina, for example, if you were a Jellycat, what Jellycat would you be and why?
If I was a Jellycat or if the team was a Jellycat?
You. So throwback to episode 2, I want to say, we asked Chris Poulis if he was a candy, what candy would he be? Or it was his favorite candy. I'm not very sure what we asked him. But Paul Coppola, I know you've asked that to the team many times. If the team was a candy, what candy would they be? So we're bringing it back, Gina. If you were a Jellycat, what Jellycat would you be? Also, the reason why it's Jellycats is because we love Jellycats here on our business team. If you were in our business room right now looking up at the ceiling, we've got a flag featuring some of our favorite Jellycats. So
well, I guess this is more of like an internal knowledge thing, but I would say I would be Peanut. And Peanut, you might have seen on our Instagram and social media.
Yeah, you actually might have. We've definitely made posts with Peanut with before.
Definitely. Peanut's around our shop a lot and gives us a lot of emotional support.
He's actually not here today, unfortunately. Bean is here today.
Oh, yes. We also have Bean, but I think I would probably be Peanut. I like to think
I see that.
I like to think of myself as supportive, and Peanut's definitely our mascot around here sometimes. Always there for us and each other.
Yeah.
And I think that's who I try to be. I try to be like Peanut.
Yeah, and I would say keep a lookout for our Peanuts and other Jellycats on our social media. I think during DCMP we posted Egg. I'm not very sure, but all of these Jellycats come from our business lead, Emma. She owns them all. All right, Paul. This one's for you, and this one is a special request from one of our presenters because sometimes these questions are a little rough. Paul, if you were a blizzard, what blizzard would you be?
So just to clarify, a blizzard at Dairy Queen or a blizzard storm name?
I was told that it was a blizzard storm name when you asked them during their practice, and not a Dairy Queen blizzard. There's a Dairy Queen right around the corner from our shop, which is why that was my first thought.
Wow, this is quite a question, Paul. I'm impressed that you asked them first, so I'm intrigued to see what your answer will be.
This is like revenge, basically. I'm holding out their revenge for you.
I would call it Storm Impact. And my reason for that is because
Hide
it
away.
packs quite a punch and it leaves a trail that you'll remember it by. Drop the mic.
He didn't actually drop the mic, guys. Like it's still there. It's still there. But wow, Paul, right away you had that answer too. You were probably thinking about it when you asked them, I'm assuming.
You know what, Chandra? You can ask me another one.
No, that's all I got for you. That was my revenge I enacted for them. Shout out to my Impact presenters. I love them. All right, back to the podcast. You know, we're done with this cyber side chat segment. We're gonna talk a little bit about what the judges are expecting. So, obviously, the scariest part about Impact is you've done all of this work, and then you got to walk into a room and convince judges in 12 minutes how you guys can be the Impact team. So what do you guys think judges look for in Impact teams? Obviously, achieving the first mission, but what specifics do you think they pick and pull?
Sure. Well, I think first of all, they're people too. They're volunteering their time. They're giving generously. And many of the judges are at every competition, and we really appreciate what they do to help to spread the first mission. When we think about the role that they play, they're really there to hear your story. They want to get to know you and get to know your team. And then they are looking for the different initiatives that your team has done that help to drive sustainability, meaning how often are you doing these initiatives? Is it the first time you've done it? Have you done it multiple times? Are you continuing this year over year? They're looking to see how you're driving expansion. And that might include things like your FLL presence or the work you do in FRC. It could even be FTC. But then they really want to understand too, like, how rounded is your team? So are you focused on community initiatives at the same time? And are you really living the mission that you've set out? So from that perspective, they are looking to see, are you bringing all of it? Are you bringing parts of it? What have you advanced as you describe your story? So it's really about the connection they make with what they learn, but also what you've been able to demonstrate during the time that you've talked to them.
Yeah, I also think that the judges are looking for the passion from students. We think it's really important for our students to be able to connect to the material, and our students are involved with all the outreach initiatives that we do speak about in our presentation. So for us, we are very, very grateful that our presentation does have that passion with it. And I think that's important to convey to the judges, because it wouldn't really mean much if we were giving a presentation that had no meaning behind it and it was just being read right off a board, right off a paper, because that wouldn't really mean anything and it would kind of feel not authentic.
Yeah, I totally agree. What do you guys think about, how about the essay, the exec summaries? What do you think judges are looking for when they scan our essay, our summaries? What do you think they're looking for in there? Does it differ from the presentation, or is it just around the same idea?
I think a lot of it has to do with how well you answer the question. And you really, you're providing a response that's thoughtful. It also helps to understand why it mattered? How did you achieve it? And they're really looking to understand more about what the team has done, but really it is, so what did it do? And it gets into the example of, did it have an impact on the community? Did it help someone that might have needed help? Did it make a difference in some way? And that could be even spreading the first message. So how far was your reach as a team? So they're really looking for examples to support the answer to the question, not just necessarily the response, but how you were able to carry that out as a team.
All right, let's journey into our impact over here at Team 195. Like I mentioned earlier, we did win impact 2 times this year because we're so cool, at the UVM qualifier and also at district championships. So what was it like preparing for those competitions, specifically for UVM, and then how did it change going into DCMP?
I think even from the beginning of this season, we've been taking a look at this pretty frequently. At WNE, we presented, and we did not win the award there. So then we looked at it again. After every competition, we've been taking a look at it, taking stock. Our judges give us feedback, which we take into consideration and try and use that as a lens to view our presentation, visuals, and communication through, because that's just another piece that we might be missing. Like our kickoff activity, we got the interpretations from our community members on what our team is like. So the judges' commentary really helps us see it in that kind of same light. So we use that. So we use that after our WNE competition. And then we represented at UVM. And thankfully, we were very successful in that aspect. But there was some transition with our material between the 2 competitions, and we adapted, like we mentioned earlier. And I think that fluidity really helps us with maintaining the message that we want to put across.
Yeah, to build off of what Gina said, it really, as we always want to take stock in who we are as a team and what our values are, and is the storytelling coming through about what we're able to accomplish together as a group. And so we do look at that between competitions and understanding, did it resonate? Do we have opportunities to continue to maybe be a little bit clearer in some of the things that we're sharing? And we also just want to make sure that it's coming through why. And I know we've said that throughout the discussion today, but it is really one of the most important things. Like, why does it matter and how does it have an impact? And so we always look at that too, to make sure that that point is coming across clearly. So we really use the time. The preparation process is about that storytelling and really making sure that it's coming through, but it's coming from the heart. And so it gives us a chance to really examine it and be able to talk about it a little differently.
Mm-hmm. What is our team's focus for the world stage in Houston next week?
Well, it's an honor to be there.
Definitely.
It is a huge thing, and we don't take that for granted. When we talk to the team about what Worlds represents for them, there are some amazing teams out there, and we recognize that it's an honor to be side by side with all of them. As we think about this is a chance for us to be able to demonstrate some of the things that we've done, not only in our local town, across the state, but how we've had a broader outreach so that we've been able to reach other countries, other continents. And that really is very meaningful. So we look at this as an opportunity to be able to share that story with some phenomenal teams, and we're looking forward to being able to be part of that with them.
All right. So how does it feel to be able to see these students improve, grow, and achieve when it comes to impact and the amount of work they put in?
I think it's really special to see the growth of just our students alone. Even the outreach, it's serving the community, but you can also see our students on the team developing personally interacting with community members that maybe they haven't before, getting out there, kind of being more personable, which really gives them an opportunity to become more active in the community.
Yeah, robotics turns introverts into extroverts.
Yeah, we've seen it in years past with our business team, actually, where we had a student who wasn't quite interested in presenting, but we prepared them anyways. And then in times of need, they had to present actually at Worlds. And they did a great job, even though they weren't expecting it themselves. Having the support there and kind of giving students the room to be comfortable, but also kind of push them to a new level is something that is really important about our team, and that is really special. And it really provides our students with something valuable that they leave here with. And I think they're grateful for in the end, even though in the beginning it might not seem as important or as fun or cool to them. It really provides a level of development that's important.
Yeah, that same student Diana mentioned a couple episodes ago, she was like tearing up over it. She was so proud of her because freshman year, she was literally as quiet as a mouse. She was not very talkative, but we're now in our junior year and she's literally the lead of the team. And she's so much more outspoken, especially since she's a lead in everything. And she last year presented at the world stage because she was an understudy and she took over the place of one of our presenters who was sick. And I just think about it every now and then, and it's a crazy progression from her. And I'm excited to see it from the new students on the team this year. And I can already see it because at the beginning of the year, it's like they're timid, they don't know a lot of people, and now they're acting as if they've been on the team for so long. And I'm just excited to see that next year, especially.
Yeah, we see some amazing things. I mean, FIRST really does help to promote leadership. It helps to promote growth. It helps to promote experiential learning. And we've seen that firsthand on our team, like both of you have shared. This process, when we think about the work that's being done, seeing people be able to take on leadership opportunities, even if it's a small, working with others, like in our FLL programs, or they're a first friend, which means they mentor others on the team when new members join us, or we're able to bring people together through as a team lead. People are getting real experience, and that is the most amazing thing to watch. And these are individuals that may not have gotten it in other places, or they've done a lot of it and they're able to help others be successful. So when we see the team and we see the team building that everybody helps to create, the leadership opportunities and growth, we do see that come together as part of this. And it happens very naturally in the team, which is really one of the most impressive things. People genuinely want to help each other, and that is not something just we say. It happens all the time. So it's really exciting to be able to see that amongst all of our team.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, it doesn't feel like, even though we have different sub-teams, it doesn't feel like our team is in different sub-teams. Like the business group is one friend group and the mechanical group is one friend. Like, no, not at all with this team. And definitely that team building at the beginning of the season helped with a lot of that. And it's kind of like we're one big happy family of 195.
The team works hard, and it can be very stressful, but they come together and they support each other, which to me is just amazing.
In the end, it's just all of us sitting at the practice field on the floor eating dinner.
Yeah, that's great.
All right. So, Paul, earlier in the episode, you mentioned a strategy. A team should develop their own strategy for impact. The Cyber Knights are coming to the end of our 3-year strategy project, which was... The first year was expanding our initiatives. Second year, reaching new audiences, but also reaching the audiences that we've established, kind of keeping that sustainability factor. And this year, it's connect. By the way, guys, every time Paul mentioned connect, inside I was like, oh my God, connect. That's like our theme. Oh my God. It literally says it on our impact shirts. But this year is connecting back to those teams, connecting back to our community, those government officials, connecting with everyone. if the plan was to have a fourth year in this 3-year strategy, although 4-year strategy doesn't sound as cool, what do you guys think this fourth year would be? What do you think next year's word would be?
Well, when we've talked to the team and there's been some of the real thinking about it, I mean, there is a real commitment to growth. And that really becomes very important in the initiatives that we take on, the work that we're doing, but also how do we continue to grow our impact? And that's really, to me, if I had to put a word, and I'm not saying that that is the word, but when we've talked to all of our team, because that's really where this comes from. They're the ones who spend the time to think about this strategy. We're just there to be champions along the side. But they keep coming back to this concept of how we're going to continue to see that it's beyond expand, but it's about how do we grow. And we want to make sure that as a team, and you can hear that commitment from everyone, that we're seeing that growth in very, very deliberate ways in the way we can have impact globally as well as at the state level. Those are all really important topics for us. And so the team has been very committed to making sure we have the right initiatives in place to support that.
What's the word?
I'll go with growth, but I'm not saying that's the official word.
I've got a couple of words in mind for next year. I've got a couple in my back pocket. Do you know any word?
I was just gonna say, we gotta have a few surprises.
What's the word?
I like Paul's explanation of growth because, yeah, he's right. I mean, like this year we really worked on connecting, as we've already mentioned. But it's just maintaining that and then growing it even further. Yes, we have these people that we connect with now, but how can we connect with more people? And so it's really maintaining that purpose and meaning and intention with what we're doing, but just adding more people.
You just want me to cut that all out? All right. Let's jump into the future of impact. What do we think that impact is going to change, develop, adapt anyway in the future? Do we think expectations are going to change of teams? How do we think the impact award is going to change?
It's an interesting question. I think as long as there's work to be done, I think the impact award plays a really important role. It's almost like a North Star for a team. So I don't know that changes. I think what it does is it motivates like how each team can really help to support we talk a lot about the community, but how do we spread the first mission? There is so much work to be done. And I think each team has a purpose and a way to help to fulfill that. So I just see that the way people are going to do it is going to change. Like there's all these creative things. You see this across all the teams. There's new ways that they're connecting with people. There's new ways that they're sharing information. There's new ways that they're helping people in need. That's where I think the difference is going to come, because I think the representation of what impact is to First is really the perfect example of making a difference. And we have millions of people worldwide that are coming together through this whole concept of an impact. And this is a way for us to think differently. So I think it's how the teams kind of bring that creativity forward. That's where I see the biggest change.
Yeah, Paul actually mentioned something that I really wanted to mention is I think it's interesting and really important how each team is able to bring something different to the table. All of our communities are different. All of our initiatives look different because we're trying to serve the people around us. And everyone, has a different strategy for it. And yeah, I mean, I think at its base, impact won't change very much, but people change and initiatives change. And that's really what it's all about. And it's nice to seeing all of the presentations and everyone else's initiatives because it inspires, even us and inspires other people to see the good that others do. So.
All right. Final question of this episode. It is getting way too long. So, what advice would you give to students preparing for impact and specifically mentors preparing their own kids for impact? Because you guys have led this train for us. You've helped us out a lot when preparing for impact. So specifically, what advice would you give to students and mentors? 2-part question, sorry.
So I'd say to students, look for that why. What is the bigger why that you're trying to solve for? And really answer that question, and then think about how your initiatives can back into it. To mentors, you do amazing work to help your team to find that why. And I think it's about really the helping to really pull it out of them and help them to see it. So I think, honestly, mentors are a really important part in the team. The collaboration is a great way to be able to achieve success.
Yeah, that's really important. And I also want to touch upon, like, for students, just remembering that you're students. You know, at the end of the day, yes, it's a presentation for this prestigious award, but you are working very hard, and that's all you can do sometimes. We remind our students all the time this because it can be very stressful. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's just doing your best and making sure that you're really telling that story. And for mentors, you know, just supporting your students the best that you can as well. That's a big part of being mentors, is standing aside and letting your students do what they have been prepared for. So just letting them fly and kind of standing on the sidelines and supporting them when you can.
And sometimes making milkshakes and ice cream for them.
Yes, that too.
All right. Thank you so much, Paul and Gina, for being on today's episode with me. Impact is a very important topic when it comes to FIRST, because as much as we love building that robot, impact's a big deal. It's what's getting us to the next level. So, unfortunately, we have to end today's episode eventually. I'm going to give our audience one final foolproof way of winning impact every year, which is maintaining your social media, obviously. Now, in order to do that, you need to promote them like this, where you can check us out at FRC Team 195 on Instagram, FRC Team 195 The Cyberknights on Facebook, and our website, team195.com. If you have any questions about the podcast, if you want to be featured on the podcast, you can email us at our email, business@team195.com. Trust me, this is going to get your impact numbers up. I know. I'm Chandra, your host, and thank you for listening to this episode of Night Chat, first on air, and see you next episode.